Hello all, welcome to Oracle Fusion Hub's ADF tutorials. In this tutorial we will discuss about creation of sequences, or like most of the times you will be having an issue with assigning the sequence numbers to the columns of a table, and there are a couple of other ways to do it apart from what I will show here, but I think this is the best way of doing it, because this gives whatever that I'm going to show you now will give you a generic implementation so that you can extend it to other entity objects, sequence creations as and when required. And I'll show you what you can do with this. So let's create a new application, and this will be my ADF Fusion application, and I'm going to name it as test tutorial 03 and com.ofa.test tutorial 03, and I'm going to finish it up with a new, same as model, view, controller and all. So now I'm going to create a new entity object, and for this, let's see, add HR, and so that will be my database connection, and I'm going to name it as employees evo, and object name would be employees. So these are pretty straightforward, and if you are following the tutorials, then you would be able to get what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to select everything and just finish it off. So I have a entity object, and now here what I'm going to do is I have this employee ID, and whenever I create a new entity object, I want this value to be coming from a sequence, and for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the custom properties here, and I'm going to create a non-translatable property here, and it will be create sequence, and the value will be, I'm going to give the employee sequence, which is the name of the sequence that we have in the database, and just give this value for whatever entity objects that you are going to create, and it will work. Don't you believe in that? I'll tell you the secret why it will work. So the reason why it works is like, you go to you go to the model, and if you look at the base class, and if you are following my earlier tutorial on how to override the base classes, you will see that I have used these entity object override classes. So here in the row, whenever a new row is created, it actually calls entity implementation class, and I'm going to modify that. I'm going to override that entity implementation with my own implementation, and so I'll go there. For now, I'll close this tutorial 3 project, and I'm going to open my tutorial 1 project, where I have my custom exception classes, or the extensions classes. So here is my ext entity implementation class. I open this, and then I have a code which actually populates the entity, I mean the sequence creation um, number. And what I'm doing here is create a static, which is a constant variable. A constant is a is a not variable. Okay, it's a constant create sequence property, and the name of the constant is the value of the constant is create sequence, which is exactly what I've given in the custom property. And I have overridden a method called create. And how do I do that? I come here, I right click, and then source override methods. You can also use Control Shift O command here. And here, if you I mean, since I have already overwritten it, I won't be able to see that method here. But if I don't, I'll have a method here, create method. So click on the checkbox and click OK, and you will get this method. And once I got this method, what I did was super.create is already there, so I'm not going to do anything. And here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to iterate through all the entity object attributes to find out if there is any object with create sequence property, I mean, which is like the create sequence. So what I'm trying to do is I'm looping through all the entity object attributes, and I'm checking if any of the attribute has a custom property with the create sequence as the property name. And if it is there, then what I'm going to do is I'm calling sequence implementation, which is standard class, and then that sequence, I'm using the sequence name which I got from the value of the create sequence, which is the real sequence value, and that I'm putting it here and get db transaction. And next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to populate the value of that sequence, which is get sequence number. Get sequence number is nothing but it's like select the sequence name dot next val from dual or something. So that's what I'm going to do is, and this is the attribute get index. The next index that I'm going to do is, and this is populate attribute has changed. And if you look at Oracle documentation, you will come to know like why this populate attribute has changed will be used. And I mean, the reason why I'm using is it doesn't call any of the validations that are there for the attributes, and that should be a pretty straightforward reasoning why I'm using populate attribute as changed. And this is the whole code that we have for populating a sequence whenever you have an attribute with a sequence to be generated automatically. And the beauty of this particular implementation is now you can, if you want any of the other entity objects to use any of the sequences, you just need to create a custom property called create sequence and then give the sequence name. That's it, simple, straightforward. And let us see how it works. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to open my test tutorial 3, and in the model I'm going to go to employees evo, and in the custom property we have create sequence and employee sequence. Fine. So now let me quickly create a view object out of it, which is employees vivo. This is based on an entity. This is my evo, and I'm going to select all the attributes, click on finish, and I have my vivo created. Now I'm going to create an application module. I'm going to leave it as it is, and I have my employees vivo, finish it. So now run the application module, and I think you should get an error now. Yes, The error is custom class com ofa test tutorial 01.shared extensions cannot be found. Why it is not found, or where are we using it? Because go to the model and click on base classes, and we are using all these extensions, and but we have not imported them yet. So how to do that? In the resources palette, click on new file system, and I'm going to name it as shared, and then test tutorial shared view controller reusable jars test connection, and the connection name already exists, so test shared 03. Okay, okay, the file system already exists for this. Okay, anyways, so I mean the way you do it is already been explained in a earlier tutorial, so you can go through those tutorials to find out how you exactly implement this. So since we have created this shared components.jar, go to right click on it and click on add to project. So add library, and that's it. It will be added. So now go back to your app module, and then click on run. Now it will be able to work. The JPS has started, and yeah, so click on employees Vivo1 and you will see all this data, and then now create a new entity object. If you click on the plus button, what you see is 212, which is perfectly fine. It is it went to that our custom code, then got the sequence number and populated it here, and I'm going to roll back, or I'm going to discard all the changes, and I'm going to click it again. 213 is the employee ID. But if you see it, there is a slight issue that we have. So I clicked on the new component, new row button, and then I got my employee ID as 213. Somehow I didn't commit those changes. I just rolled back it, and then again when I clicked on plus button, my sequence has been changed to 214. So this is something that I might not want it. I mean, there can be cases where you want it, and there can be cases where you don't want it. So in this particular scenario, I just don't need it. I want like 213 to be the value unless and until a rollback has happened. So unless a rollback, till my commit has happened, I want the old number to be there. So in this case, I'm mostly talking about the gapless sequences, so that's the right word to use. So if I want to have gapless sequence, what I have to do is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to close this application, go back to the implementation that we have done here, and go to the shared objects, extensions, and entity objects. And what we are actually doing here is we are overriding the create method. Create method will be called as soon as an entity object is created, instantiated. But that's not what I want right now. So what I have to do is I come here, and then I'm going to override another method called doDML. Do you have it? This one, doDML. Click OK, and you will have the method. And here I'm going to create another constant, which is DML seek property equal to DML sequence, and now here, if you see here, I have implemented my custom code after super.create, because after the object EO is created, then I'm going to do all this. But if I do something after my DML, that doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement all my custom code in the DML, I mean before I call do DML. So here what I'm going to do is, if DML insert, and the reason why I'm using DML insert is the entity object will this particular entity implementation will give you the various I mean operations like DML insert, DML delete, and DML update along with it. So here instead of DML insert, it should be, I mean instead of operation, it should be I. So if I equal to DML insert, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the same thing, just copy it and put it here, and what I'm going to do is we are getting the attributes, and once you get the attributes, the sequence name now is not create sequence, but it will be DML sequence property, and the rest is just the same. Save it, and now close it, close my application, go back to test tutorial 3, and the reason why I'm closing and opening it again is because I have a very not a good RAM on my machine. But if you have good RAM, then you can work on multiple projects at a time. So test tutorial 03 is where I have loaded this, and model employees EO custom property, and instead of this I will put update sequence, and let me quickly verify it. Close my application, open it, go to extensions, and sorry, whatever I have now is something different. So close my application, open test tutorial 03, then model employees EO custom properties, and this is DML sequence, and I'm using the same sequence now. So I mean, what you have to do again is you have to go to the test tutorial 01, and here since you have changed your whatever the project, you have to redeploy it. So deploy shared components, next, finish it. And how to deploy all these shared components, I've already explained you in previous tutorials. You can go back and refer them. So now you have, I mean, let me check if I have my deployment. The deployment is finished, perfect. Close my application, go to test tutorial 03, and I'm using the same thing. So I mean, just for my case, I can refresh it and then I can add it. Now I go back to the application module and run it. GPS has just started and employees Vivo, and now I don't see anything here coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the first name as Oracle Fusion Hub. I don't know what mandatory fields I have to give. So 10, then just validate my row. So attribute employee ID is required. So I give 1, and last name is also required, which is hub or output.com. Validate. Email is also required. OFA at oraclefusionhub.com. Hire date is also required. So 12 October 1987. And it will be Y by MMDD. Y MMDD. Job ID, which is 1. So everything is there. Then I'm going to commit this transaction, and the constraint emp job fk is violated during post operation. Insert using XML, and integrity constraint job is not found. So the job ID will be 12. Okay, just a second so that I'll add those things. So I'm going to create a new I got the job ID now. So employee ID, you can give, let's say 122020, and first, okay, it is not taking that. So many other validations. So 12,000 is the employee I'm given, and first name is Oracle Fusion Hub. Hire date is 1987, 12/0/20, whatever, and job ID is @pers. That's something that they want. And hire name would be com, and employee email is OFA at oraclefusionhub.com. Now just validate it, so everything is fine. So the moment I do a commit, what I'll see is the employee ID should be changed. See, the employee ID has been changed to 218, and in this case, only after I do a commit, my sequence number will be generated, and this is how the whole sequence numbers works. And this is a very handy method, so that, I mean, whenever you want to add any of the sequences, you just need to create that and then create a custom property, and that's it. Simple, straightforward. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day. Thank you.